Hello, friends, and welcome to Move Into Coherence. I'm Pamela Stokes. In today's episode, we will be learning about the lymph system. Some people call it the sewage system. I'd prefer to call it the drainage system. And we will learn some techniques that we can do for ourselves to help this fluid keep moving and carrying things away, the cell debris and so forth, away from the organs. So let's get into it. We'll begin with our 3 bells, and then we'll do a little heart coherence, and then we'll do our waking and shaking, come back to learning, and then we'll have our experience. You may notice, I don't know if you do, but I do, my voice sounds a little different. I have had some things moving through, let's say, and so I'm just feeling like I'm cleansing, this seasonal cleansing that happens. And I'm feeling pretty good, but it does sound a little interesting there. So pardon my new sound today. So let's do our 3 bells. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Yes, these bells came from Mary Morrissey. She has the Brave Thinking Masters Institute, and I was part of that for a couple of years, and this was a gift from her to us. These are prayer bells from Tibet. We ring them 3 times, and we ring them to completion. So that's why we pause. All right, and let's go ahead and please do a little heart coherence together. We will just allow ourselves to bring awareness into the heart area. And if you would like to place your hand over your heart area to help yourself feel more connected there, please do so. Bringing your awareness into your heart. And it may help to have your eyes closed so that you can really bring yourself there. And then we'll allow the breath to slow down a little slower and a little deeper than usual. And the scientific studies found that 5.5 seconds is ideal, but we don't have to be so precise. So maybe 5 or 6 seconds in and 5 or 6 seconds out. Through the nose. And then let's imagine that the breath is moving in and out through the heart. Five or 6 seconds in and 5 or 6 seconds out through the heart. And I like to think of the whole heart, the 3 dimensions, the front, the back, the sides, the top, the bottom, the whole heart breathing. And let's go one step further and bring to mind something that helps you to feel gratitude or appreciation. And this could be something that's neutral for you, perhaps a scene in nature or something like that. People are kind of challenging to bring to mind sometimes, so I like to bring to mind a scene in nature or my cat. Something you're feeling gratitude for, appreciation for, as we breathe in and out through the heart. And let's do one more level. We'll just imagine sending some of this out to anyone that needs it today, people you know, people you don't know, people who are challenging, people who, as my mother used to say, the ones that are hardest to like, the ones that need it the most. And then over the next couple or 3 breaths, allow yourself to come back into your natural breathing, and you can relax your hand and open your eyes to a soft gaze. I felt a little emotional during that time thinking about my mother. It's been a long time since I've seen her. She's passed on. Always had words of wisdom for me. All right, so let's go ahead and do our waking and shaking. This is our 3-part motion, and we need to stand for this one. So please come to standing and join in. Thanks for joining. Okay. All right, the first motion in this 3-part motion is called waking up. In waking up, we stand with our feet lined up with our shoulders, and we will begin by bending the knees, letting them come in toward one another, bend the arms so the hands come up towards the shoulders. Then we curl the back, round the back by pulling the belly in and drop the head, get round and get small. And then slowly let the legs get long, let the belly get long, let the back get long, let the arms get long. Chin up, eyes up, look up, reach up, and then let your arms float down by your sides. And take a break, take a breath. Readjust clothing as needed. And notice how you feel. And I like to do this one twice. We really get the things moving. And we're talking about lymph today, so this is a very good one for that too. The knees bend and they come in toward one another. We bend the elbows so that the hands come up towards the shoulders, and you can make soft fists in your hands. We round the back, get small, get round, drop the head, and then slowly let the legs get long, let the belly get long, let the back get long, let the arms reach up, look up, tip your head up, and then let your arms float down by your sides. And take a break, take a breath. Notice how you feel. And then we'll go ahead and do the tongue. This is our second motion of this 3-part motion. We start by pressing the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, gently up in the center of the roof of the mouth. And then slowly, over about 5 or 6 seconds, we will release the tongue down and soften it all the way to the root of the tongue. And notice what's happening in your digestive tract. Maybe you feel softening throughout. Yeah, great. And then we'll do the third one. This is called a quick shake, comes from the practice of Qigong, and it allows for a lot of movement and especially the lymph fluid, which we're talking about today. So please join in. It looks very silly, but it is great for this, and we'll get everything flowing. So we're going to start with our tailbone, the coccyx, which is the lowest part of the spine, and we'll give that a wag like we're a happy dog. So wag your tail. Thanks for joining in. And let the arms and the legs be wiggly. And you can let the head and the neck come into it and wiggle too. Everything's soft and wiggling. And this is a gentle shaking. And then we'll move that shaking up the spine all the way to the crown of the head. And pause there, and then loose lips, motorboat. And pause, and notice how you feel. Yes, and then we can come back to our other position where we were watching the show. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for joining in. That one is, I think, I don't know, it's one of my favorite. A quick shake. I see my cat from time to time, especially when there's a visiting cat in the neighborhood, coming to the back door. He gets all fired up, and then he'll do, one of these shakes. And you may see dogs doing this, and that's basically what's going on. They're kind of resetting. And so if you feel reset, that's what we're after. I feel tingly, which is my aliveness, feels like my aliveness. Okay, the lymph system. We're not going to get too technical, but basically I would love for you to understand this because it is part of your body, and it's fantastic, and it does all these great things for us. So let's learn about what is going on there. All right, some of the things that I have taught in this podcast have been perhaps a little bit outside of the mainstream medical paradigm, which tells us that there is infection, that we have things that come in and attack us and that our body needs to get rid of them. That has never been proven. There's no science behind it, so we're just not going to go there. But what the lymph system, rather than thinking of it as a getting the bad guys and kind of taking them out, we can think of it instead as a drainage system where it is pulling things out of the organs that are no longer needed. So these could be byproducts from metabolism, molecules and chemicals, minerals and things that aren't needed anymore. Those can get drained out by the lymph system. Also, every moment, I was trying to find a number about this because I wanted to get some accuracy, but we don't really know how many cells die every second. But I saw one that said 1 million cells every second, which it sounds like a lot, but we also produce that many. So we're kind of balancing how many cells we have in the body. They often die. And they die because there is only a certain amount of functionality that they have. It's a natural process of cell death. So when these cells die and they break apart, that's when we get our bions. These are the energy vesicles that come out when the cells die. So there's a good thing that happens when cells die too. But that cell debris, those particles, those little pieces that break down, the debris needs to get removed from the organs, and the lymph system does that. So it's a series of vessels. They carry the fluid, and they carry the fluid away from tissues. This is, they're in contact with every organ in the body, and most of them are superficial, which means that they're right under the skin, 60 to 70% of these vessels. And so we can access them very easily, which is a good thing to know. And what they do is they pull they drain the liquid from the organs that contains this waste, metabolic waste and cell debris, and pulls it to a node. And now you've probably heard of lymph nodes. They're all over us in our armpits and in our neck and our groin, and they're all over inside of our belly and our abdomen. There's bunches all over the head and so forth. These nodes are where the lymph fluid gets filtered. And so they're little filters, and then the debris is cleansed out, and so now we have a clean fluid. This clean fluid then will go into the capillaries, the blood capillaries, and this is where we can then um, the waste can then move out, and it will get filtered through the kidneys and then out through the urine. Okay. The waste products coming out of the tissues, out of the organs, goes into the space between the cells, and that's where the lymph capillaries will pick it up. Inside of the tubes in the vessels, they have little peristalsis, kind of like our gut. So these are like an inchworm, so it squeezes and releases and squeezes and releases, and that's how the fluid moves along the tubes. And then it was returned through ducts. And there are two major ducts here in the neck. And that's what we're going to be working with today, these two major ducts. And that's how it is returned back into the bloodstream and then excreted through the kidneys. So we have these basically collecting tubules for the whole body here in the neck. Okay, so what happens when we have swollen lymph nodes? A lot of worry about that. Well, here's the perspective. So if we get a diagnosis of something like cancer, we may get a swelling in these nodes because we're in response to that as this sort of a death threat to hear that we've got cancer, right? Our body's going to produce more cells. Then these nodes will increase in size. There'll be some swelling, some inflammation. The bacteria that get created, our bions create the bacteria so that we can reduce that swelling, so that we can eat up those extra cells. And that can look like or be called an infection, where it's not. It's a cleaning up of the proliferation or increase number of cells. And then the white blood cells in our body will come and clear those bacteria away. So this may look like a increase in white blood cells, could be like lymphoma or leukemia that is diagnosed as a really bad thing. But this is just an increase in white blood cells that our body's making so that we can clear out the debris, the extra cells that we had made. So that's one thing that can happen. To get an inflamed lymph node. But we can also, after an injury or after a surgery, there are extra wastes and extra fluid, and that can accumulate in these lymph nodes, or we can call it a swollen gland. And that can happen from an abscessed tooth or something. And again, this is not an infection. This is just our body making the bacteria to clean that waste, to help us clean that waste. So give it some time, give it some movement, lots of water and rest and so forth, and that will all clear away. Okay, one of the things that we thought we understood was that the lymph system or the lymph vessels were how cancer spreads. Well, this is also not true. My friend, and I've referred to her several times now, Dr. Jody Rosenblatt, she's a cell biologist, and she's done extensive work with cancer. And what she had most recently discovered, and I should say most recently, it's about 12 years ago now, but recently published because people didn't really want to publish the work because it's very different, which is that metastasis doesn't happen from a tumor breaking off little pieces and then like others, cells going other places through the lymph system. That doesn't happen. What she was showing was that these cells, cancer cells, can form in different organs. And so they're not starting one place and then moving around. They are in these different locations and simultaneously, and that is not metastasis. It's kind of the reverse of that. So The lymph system does not carry metastatic cells. Metastatic cells really don't exist. So that's not what this does. It's only good, the lymph system. In fact, all of our body, that's what we're all about, is more life, right? So as we are cleaning the fluid and draining the cell debris, moving the cell debris, filtering, that's all good stuff. There's nothing attacking us. We're just cleaning up. All right, one of the specialized lymph nodes is the spleen, and it's below the stomach. It's behind the stomach, I should say, below the diaphragm, and it also filters the blood, and it stores platelets, which are small little pieces of cells that are used for wound repair. So that's an important organ there. One of the things that I think is really fascinating too is that for the longest time, and I think in 2015 was when they made the discovery that lymph vessels, they didn't think that there were any in the brain because they couldn't find them readily. So, but they did find them, and what they found was that there's a blood vessel, let's say here, that the lymph vessels are kind of surrounding it like this. So it's kind of like a wrap around the hot dog. Yeah, like when you wrap dough around a hot dog. So the blood vessel is inside, the lymph vessel is on the outside, and so they are what's called concentric. You have a circle, and then you have another circle. And when they are most active in the brain when we sleep. So I think of this as we really need sleep. Otherwise, we don't get to clean our brain. So this is when they're most active. Might as well take advantage of that and know that when we are sleeping, we're cleaning our brain. I think that's pretty fascinating. So some of the things that help the lymph move, well, the main thing is breathing, and especially when we breathe deeply. Now, I don't mean deeply like a big breath. I mean deeply as in there's a lot of expansion where you can feel the ribs moving out. Maybe you can feel the back ribs moving, maybe the front ribs too, moving forward and the back ribs moving back. So there's expansion through the ribs. Maybe you feel your low belly expanding. This expansion allows for these lymph vessels to really allow the movement of the fluid through them. So deep breathing, not big breathing, but deep in expanded breathing is one of the major ways that we move lymph. Movement of the body in general will also move the lymph. There is an understanding that, again, I keep teaching you things that maybe are not new, that maybe are new to you, but the heart does not pump the blood around. The blood moves itself because of charges inside, and the blood moves itself. It comes to the heart, and then it kind of gets spun and vortexed, and that's what gets the whole trip starting around again. But in the lymph, there's no stop. Like the heart kind of stops the blood for a little while until it builds up enough pressure and then out it goes. The lymph doesn't have that. There's nothing that's doing that. So we, by moving, allow the lymph to move, and by breathing, allow the lymph to move. There are other things that can move lymph, like intention. We can bring our awareness in. We can notice. We can say, oh, I'm going to bring my awareness to my left elbow. And when you do that, you are bringing awareness, you're bringing energy, you're moving lymph, you're moving blood in that area. So our intention, our awareness can do that, and also touch. These are things that can help to move lymph. So I mentioned that besides carrying these old dead cells and cell debris away, another thing that the lymph can do is it can remove fats. And so oftentimes people are stuck in a body that feels like, I've tried everything, I'm dieting, I'm exercising, eating all the right things, whatever, and I'm still overweight, I haven't lost this weight. Lymph absorbs fat. So if we're not moving our lymph, if we're not getting our lymph flow, then it's likely that there may be a buildup of these fats. And I also wanted to mention that I touched on the lymph system a little bit in episode 74. This was a 3-part series of episodes on anxiety. When we have too much slowdown in the lymph, this can create a feeling of anxiety in the body. So we may not be anxious for any reason. You can't necessarily think of a reason why you feel anxious, but you do. And that could be your lymph fluid is slow. I'm going to take a little sip here. So as we release the lymph and get it moving, we will feel a relaxation response. This is part of resolving trauma, actually, is when we get that relaxation response, that parasympathetic breath, nice, slow breath, easy breath. We feel relaxed. There's more space. We talked about space last week. When we have more space, that's where we can create. That's where we make more life. So we're creating more space. You may feel that your digestion works better. And also you may feel that tingling of feeling alive. Okay, one of the things that's important, because this is exciting stuff, and we want to, for me, when I first learned it, I was like, oh, I want to do this all the time. I just want to get my lymph moving. But when you haven't moved it specifically the way we're going to today, ever, or in a long time, there may be cellular debris and waste products that have built up. Makes sense. So when we start moving it, you may get some of those waste products moving, and it can lead to maybe a headache or maybe some nausea. And so I would like for you to take it easy. Don't do too much. Just try this a little bit, and then maybe in a day or two, you could try it again. This is a process that we would like to ease into, and then eventually you can do it daily once your flow is really happening. Okay, we're going to get into the motion in just a little bit. I just wanted to talk about some of the things, some of the conditions, we could call them diseases, but conditions, let's say, that are related to possibly having this buildup of waste. So we talked about obesity or overweightness. That could be one. Anxiety could be another one. All kinds of brain things, like Alzheimer's and Asperger's and autism and bipolar and ADHD and OCD, all of these things that are related to the brain flow could be related to this lymph fluid not flowing. High blood pressure, cyst formation, swelling, edema, they call that, aneurysm, which is a swelling in the brain, hemorrhoids, boils, congestion, or bloating. All of these things are because of the lymph not moving. We can also maybe have ear issues. We could have skin issues. Maybe there's some skin tags or brown spots or acne. Let's see what else. Yeah, lots of things are related to the lymph system and the flow because, as I said, it touches every organ. So if we have a fatty liver, if we have different things, in the bowel, these could be related to the lymph not moving. And so this is an important part of helping yourself, helping your body know how to continue generating more life for you. So breathing, of course, is our first way, and that's the superficial ones. And then to get into the deeper ones, we can do muscle contraction, bending, and also expanding. So these are ways to get that flow moving. In this motion today, we're going to do two different things. The first one is called the shoulder shuffle. And I did this in episode 74, as I mentioned before, for the anxiety. It's really fun and cute. And all you do is, let's go ahead and try this together. Please join in. Thanks for doing this. We're going to raise one shoulder, and then switch and raise the other shoulder as we drop the first one. And switch. We're going to just alternate. And we can go a little faster. Do, 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 back and forth. Just about 10 times. And that's enough. And then just notice how you feel. You may notice, for me, I just feel kind of a flow, through my through my chest, shoulders, back. Yeah, I feel like things are moving. So what that does, the shoulder shuffle, it allows for these two major ducts to be moved, and then this is where the lymph fluid goes back into the bloodstream. So this is an important area. Okay, so now we're going to do a touch process, several steps. We're going to be doing, 7 steps that will allow the flow to move out of the head. So the head, all of the head lymph is going to move down. That's the direction. All of the body lymph moves up, because remember, these are our two areas where it goes back into the blood. So all the head stuff goes down and the body stuff goes up. So we're going to be imagining that this flow is moving down into these ducts here. And the word duct is D-U-C-T, not D-U-C-K. But it does make me giggle in my head. All right, so we're going to start with our collarbones. So the collarbones here, and right behind that, there's a squishy bit. And then we get to the trapezius muscle. So right between the muscle and the bone, the squishy bit right here, that's where we're going to be bringing our attention. Now, what we want to do with this one is we're just going to pump it. And we're going to start by pumping this. Let's do just 3. Okay, we don't want to do too much in the first day, but you could do up to 5 once you get used to this, but just 3 for now. So you're going to bring your fingers like this, or you can also bring your hands across each other, cross your arms, and bring your fingers to your collarbones there. Take this scarf away so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so we're just going to do that. Okay, so if you want to cross your fingers, just let them rest in that space, that squishy space above your collarbones. And then we'll just pull them down towards the heart, just gently. This is not a squeeze. This is not a big, heavy thing. It's kind of like a pump. So just 3 times, and then pause there. Then we're going to come to the ones on the side of the neck. And this one is easiest if we have our hands crossed, our arms crossed. So we're going to bring all 4 fingers onto the sides of the neck. And then slowly we're going to stretch that side skin, just gentle stretch. So again, 3, this is gentle, 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. Gentle stretching. We're just getting the superficial lymph. We don't need to go deep. We don't need to do this deeply. All right, now we're going to get to what's called the water wheel. This is a location. I'm going to take my earrings off too. Getting all dressed up for nothing. Okay, underneath the earlobe, we're going to place our middle finger and then the other 2 fingers on either side of that, the index and ring finger. And then we're just going to stretch that down. Again, we can do this on both sides of the head. So right below the earlobe. And we're going to stretch that down 3 times, 2 and 3. Yeah, that one for me right now is especially helpful because I have a little congestion, as you might hear. So that one's really nice. In fact, I'm going to take a drink of water and just notice how you feel. Notice what that's doing for you. All right. This can help with ear issues. You may feel your ears open up. Maybe you're experiencing some of this change in the weather stuff that's happening. And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. What what's going on? Why do people get sick in the winter? All right. The next one is the under the chin, under the jawbone. We're going to take our fingers and bend them like this so that your knuckles are here. And we're going to bring the knuckles underneath the chin in the center, both hands together. And then we're going to slide them along the jawbone all the way to the back, basically towards the earlobe. So gentle. This is not, again, we're just getting the superficial lymph. We're not doing, and we're going to do that 3 times. We're not doing anything deep. So this is very gentle. Yeah, just enough to really just feel it, not that you have to, be digging in there. All right. Now this next one is in the front of the face. So this is what's interesting about the lymph in the face. From the corner of the eye down towards the earlobe or the back of the jaw, that we can say is the dividing line. So everything below the line that we just imagined on the cone of the face, we call that the cone, the nose, chin, lips, all that there. Everything there in the cone is going down towards the towards the bottom of the chin. All the lymph is flowing that way. And then above that line, that imaginary line from the bridge of the nose to the earlobe, above that line, including the eye and the upper cheeks and the forehead, all of that is going down to the ear, behind the earlobe, or below the earlobe, I should say. Okay, so the front of the face, the cone of the face, goes down to the chin, and the forehead and eye goes down to the earlobe. Okay, so that's the motion that we're going to be making. So when we start with the cone of the face, we're going to bring our middle fingers to the bridge of the nose in between the eyes. So right here where the eyes meet the nose. And then we're going to just, again, gently pull our middle fingers down to the edge of the nostrils, down to the end of the nose there. And then bring all the fingers together and slide them off of your face, off of your chin. So let's do that again. Middle fingers touching the bridge of the nose, right where the eyes touch the nose. And we're going to slide just the middle fingers down the outside of the nose to the ends of the nostrils. Then add all the other fingers and slide them off of your chin. Now I'm really draining. I should have some tissues here. Yeah, this is helping. All right, so again, we're going to start from the corners of the eyes, pulling gently down with the middle fingers, and then the other fingers come on the face, and we slide down off the chin. We're just doing 3. Yeah, I really feel that. Okay, and then we're going to start with the, remember that imaginary line from the corner of the eye where the bridge of the nose begins down to the earlobe, everything above that. So we're going to bring our hands kind of on our forehead and eyes, okay, both hands, and then we're going to slide up the forehead and down the sides of the face, down to just below the ear and maybe even a little bit behind the earlobe. All right, so from the forehead over the eyes as well, we're going to move the hands up towards the hairline and then down below the earlobe. And then that's 2. And then one more time, gentle. Remember, we're just touching the superficial ones. We're not going in deep. All right, and then we'll pause here. And you may notice we went from the ducts to the head. That's the up. What we're doing with that is we are bringing the junk, let's say the stuff we don't need, the debris, the metabolic waste and the broken down cells and all that. We're bringing it into the tubes. Now we're going to allow the tubes to bring that down into the ducts. So up first and then down. So we'll go backwards. Let's start with the forehead. So both hands come over the eyes and the forehead. And again, this is gentle. We're not digging in. Okay, not a lot of pressure, just gentle. Over the forehead, down the sides of the face, and below the earlobe, maybe even a little bit behind the earlobe. We'll do 3 of those. Starting over the eyes, we go up the forehead, and then down the sides of the face, and then below the earlobes. Just a gentle sweeping motion. One more time, and sliding over the skin, gently over the skin, and then down below the earlobe. And now we'll go back into the cone of the face. So we're starting with our middle fingers just on either side of the bridge of the nose where the eyes and the nose meet, right there in the corner of the eye. We're going to bring our middle fingers down the sides of the nose to the ends of the nostrils, and then bring the rest of the fingers and slide them over the lips and down the chin and off the face there. That's one. We'll do another 2 more. Middle fingers and then all the fingers. And this is, again, very gentle. And the third one. Yeah, I'm feeling my sinuses are opening up too, which is very nice. When we have space, we create life. So we're doing good things here. After the cone of the face, and then we go to the chin. We're going to bend our fingers so that our knuckles are exposed. We're going to bring those knuckles underneath the chin together, both hands. And we're going to slide the hands away from each other under the jawline, back towards the ear lobe. Gentle sliding. So again, we're not digging in. We're just sliding over the surface of the skin, basically more or less stretching the skin. So just 3 of those. Okay. And then right below the earlobe, we're going to bring our middle finger and then rest the index finger and ring finger on either side of the middle finger. And then we're just going to stretch this gently down both sides of right below the earlobe. This is the water wheel. This is a big, important lymph node. And this is a really helpful one for opening the ears, especially if you have children who have some ear issues. Pretty common. You can help them with this, or they can do it themselves too. Remember, the first time you do it, you're moving waste, and so there may be a large accumulation, and so there may be some, you might feel kind of lousy for a minute afterwards, but take it easy. Take it slow. Drink lots of water. Take it slow. Don't do too much. All right, after the water wheel, we're going to do the sides of the neck. So bring your crossed hands, crossed arms over to either side of the neck, right below the earlobe, all the fingers there. And then we're going to just basically stretch the sides of the neck 3 times. So those skin tags that you may have, this will cause them to fall away. I've already noticed it for myself. So 3 of those. So we're getting lymph fluid moving. That means that those skin tags don't need to form. Yeah. Okay. And then the final one is the ducts here, which are between the muscle and the bone of the collarbones, this squishy space here. And you could do it with your hands, your right hand on your right side and left on the left, or you can cross your hands over and access them this way. Basically, we're getting that squishy space, and then we're pumping downward towards the heart. And this is just, again, not deep, just superficial. 3 of those. And then notice how you feel. Let's take a moment here. And if you would like to, I would love to interact with you on the chat if you have the ability to send something in, what you're noticing. If you have done this with us in this moment, what are you noticing in your body? What I'm noticing as I'm feeling into it, sensing into it, is I'm feeling warmth. I am feeling ease. I feel actually a little bit more connected to the seat that I'm sitting on, the surface I'm sitting on. So my pelvic floor is dropped down. I feel tingling. I feel like my congestion is moving, which is great. Excuse me. So many good things. Well, I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but that's okay. That's all right. If you have had experience with brain fog, if you have had chemotherapy, and some people call it chemo brain, if you've had fibromyalgia, like I was diagnosed with, and I don't remember having this, they called it fibro brain, but I haven't heard that before, where you get brain fog. I didn't actually have that. Oh, great exercise. Wow, great exercise, says Dawn. Thank you, Dawn, for coming in with that one. Yeah, I feel that it was surprising to me to hear that the lymph system moves fats. And, I started doing this and I'm like, oh, okay, this obviously works. So yeah, thanks for noticing that. It is a great exercise. And not that our head has fats, but our neck can have fats, but our head can contain all of this cellular debris and waste and metabolic waste. And so getting that out, especially if we've had to take medications, this is something that builds up in the body. It can build up in the body. So the lymph is going to drain that out for us. Great. Thanks for doing that. Feeling more open and the toxins are moving. Yeah, you might feel a slight headache. Yes, exactly, as things move. And so just hold off. Don't do any more. I know it's tempting to say, well, I want to get it all out, but just hold off and maybe tomorrow try some more. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for joining in. So I wanted to talk about what's happening right now for people in their health. And so we can call it a cold season or the flu season. And it happened for me. And I wanted to bring this up because it's important for us to understand what's happening. Okay. Well, historically, they have been trying for decades and decades to prove that colds are contagious, and unsuccessfully. And there are over 200 studies that have not been able to show this. So this is important information. Yes. Thanks, Dawn. Looking forward to practicing this more often. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here and joining in. So the historical perspective is that we catch something, we catch a germ, and it is growing inside of us and making us sick, when in actuality that has never been proven. And we've talked about this before. I have a couple of different episodes on this, in the live version and also in the other version that you can find on places like Spotify and Google Play and Apple and so forth. The findings are that we cannot make each other sick. There is no provable germ that we can get. That we can get and I'm sorry, I'm going to pause here. I see Dawn's asking a question. Is there anywhere I can get the outline of the movements to refer to? Well, what I am going to do in when I put the video up, I will have chapter markers. And so I'll have the chapter marker for this particular grouping of motions. And then if you look at the transcript in the show notes on my website, which is moveintocoherence.com, the show notes will have the description there. So maybe that will be helpful for you. But I like the idea of having an outline. Yeah, I haven't done that. I'll think about that. Might be a good idea. Thanks, Dawn. And then Mildred, thank you, Mildred, for being here. I appreciate you. Feeling a slight headache as well. Yeah. So we're moving these particles, the pieces of dead cells and metabolic waste, we're moving them. And this can kind of get things, kind of flowing, and this can cause a headache because whenever we have expansion of the vessels or contraction of the vessels, we can get a headache, and that's what's going on here. Yeah. Thanks for asking that. Okay, so what is this cold flu season thing? What's going on? What I wanted to say is there's a reason why it's called a cold, because when we get cold in the cold season, cold is contracting, constricting. It closes us down. We hunch our shoulders. We close off the ducts here in our collarbone area. We are not allowing the lymph to flow. We may get a constriction in the throat, creating some soreness, sore throat. And then as things process and move through us, we might end up with a fever so that we can come back to our warm state again. And so all of these things can happen for us. The other thing is when the air is cold, it's drier. And dry air makes our body increase the manufacturing of mucus. So we get this lovely liquid stuff that helps us to stay moisturized inside, and it can run, it can be a mess, and it can be thick and goopy and so forth. But again, if we keep it moving, and if we can do this self lymphatic drainage, that's what this is called for the head, we can do this, that can really help things to move along in the process of what's happening for us. So I like to think of the cold or the flu as an opportunity to kind of reset to the new environment. This is a new environment when we have cold, when we have dry air, and I'm talking about the northern hemisphere. So it might be the reverse too. When we go into the summer, now things are getting moister and things are getting warmer. It may be that our body has to adjust again. So we have an environment that we live in. It's a physical environment. We also have the internal environment, and they need to be working together so that we can have our optimal health. And when something changes in the outer environment, something's got to adjust on the inner side. Now, it doesn't always happen that every year you get a cold or a flu. It may not happen every year. And so this is just, our body's way of adjusting to our environment. And if we think of it that way, I think just the attitude of like, oh, my body's doing for me what it needs to do so that I can have more life. And that is a beautiful thing. And thank you, body. And, sending appreciation is always a good thing. That sends the message that everything's okay. When we feel appreciation, that means everything's okay. I think it's so funny. I just realized that I have these live reactions. I thought I turned them off, but when I do a thumbs up, it pops up on the screen. No, it didn't do it that time. Maybe it's you guys. No, there it is. So I just think it's funny. Anyway, you won't see that in the playback. The idea that our body's on our team, that we are on the same team, that we're working together, that it's adjusting to the new environment, that's what's happening for us. And we do have these symptoms, and they're not fun. But it's a good process to know that our body can do this, and we can come out the other side, and now we're adjusted. So it's like an instant adaptation, to the environment. What's important now to know, since that is the case, again, infection from germ causing cold, causing flu has never been proven, And they've tried for a long, long time. Doesn't happen. There are other situations that are coming along, like I said, in the environment. What's important is we don't suppress those symptoms. This is important because if we take a decongestant, if we take an antihistamine, if we take a pain reliever, if we take something that reduces the fever, what we're doing is we're stopping the process midstream. And this process needs to happen so that we can get to the other side. Now we're in the place where we feel normal again, and we're adapted to the new environment, the drier, colder environment. If we suppress the symptoms, eventually something worse is going to happen. So this is really important. I don't want people to suppress their symptoms, because eventually that may turn into something else, something worse. We're basically pushing down our body's natural response and not allowing it to fully express itself and to generate more life. We're quelling that, we're stopping that. And when we do that, sure, our symptoms will go away. We can, feel good, but that's not, the body is like, oh, now we have a poison to deal with, right? On top of we're trying to adjust to the new environment, now we have a toxin that we have to deal with. So we're putting more effort into what the body has to do. And as we suppress the symptoms, they go somewhere. That might go into an organ. It might go into, a place that we don't even know where it's going, and cause further trouble down the road. So allow your symptoms, allow it to flow. I know it's not comfortable, but it doesn't take that long. I started this Thursday evening, and now it's Sunday, and I'm almost done with it. So it's rest, sleep. As you know, during sleep, that's when we cleanse the brain. We talked about this earlier. So I think this is a good time for this lymph lesson today, and I'm glad you're here to enjoy it and to have learned some things from it. Great. I think that's about all I have today, unless you have some questions. What we can do, if we want to do this, or actually, yeah, I think maybe we'll just end with a little heart coherence. As I was doing the heart coherence earlier today, I started thinking about that thought of my mother. I'm just going to pull this picture down because it's just so sweet. This is my mom when she was, I think, 12 or 13. And she's so sweet. And this was a black and white photo, and she actually colorized it. So that's my mother. And anyway, she said some beautiful things. Like she knew some things to say. And one of the things that she said was, the people who are the hardest to like are the ones that need the love the most. And it brought my heart into motion. And I started really feeling that, remembering that. So there are some challenging people, but we have to send them love because they need it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here with me. I really do appreciate it. So let's finish up with a little heart coherence and come into our day, moving forward into our day with some ease and comfort. And then we'll ring the 3 bells and be on our way. Thanks for listening. Sorry about the emotions. I think I needed to move more than just my fluids. Yeah. Thank you, Dawn. All right. So we're going to go ahead and allow ourselves to drop into our heart. Slow the breathing down a little deeper, a little slower than usual. Feeling yourself connected to the heart and the breathing. And then imagine that the breath is flowing in and out through the heart. Yeah. And then we'll bring to mind something that helps us to feel gratitude, appreciation. And compassion is a really nice one too. So maybe compassion. Yeah. And then what I'd like for you to imagine is on your inhales, allowing the heart coherence, brain coherence to come into the body and maybe into places where you're feeling discomfort. Maybe for those of you who experience this headache, just send some of that heart coherence into that area for yourself. And then on every exhale, you could also send some of that coherent, heart coherent radiation energy outward and let it just go out into the field. We're just going to feed the field so much good, coherent energy. So a little bit for ourselves and a little bit for others. And just remembering we're not separate from that. We're always connected. We're never alone. Yeah. Beautiful. And then over the next couple or 3 breaths, you can allow yourself to come back into your natural breathing and relax your hand. Let your eyes come to a soft gaze. Yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead and do our 3 bells, and then I will see you next week. I don't know what our lesson is. I find that I'm motivated through the week to figure out what it is that is. Yeah. Thank you, Mildred. Thank you so much. This was beautiful. I appreciate you. All right. So I will see you next time. Here's our 3 bells, sending heart coherent radiation out to all of you. Thanks for being here. Oh, and the sign off. This has been Move Into Coherence. I'm Pamela Stokes. Take it easy.